Hi guys. I, as promised, am here to talk to you a little bit about something that I do sometimes when I'm feeling down. I made a post this morning that I woke up just feeling a little down, like a little heavy and a little just down. And, sometimes that happens. Sometimes that's just how we wake up. I'm not immune to that any more than anyone else is. But over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, I have opened myself up to a lot of different things. And there is a very specific ritual that really helps me in those times that I'm feeling that way. So I want to start out by saying I am in no way an expert on any of this. I am really just here to share with you what works for me. Hi, Brandy. What works for me? What helps me feel better, and how I go about using this for myself. If you're familiar with this process, you may use it a little bit differently, but I'm really just here to share my own stuff. So when I feel a little off, the first thing that I turn to is called smudging. And this is a form of burning sage in your home. This is literally a ritual that stems back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's been used in all sorts of different cultures. It's a shamanic principle, really, and they burn sage to... Brandy's all about it. They burn sage because it's known to absorb negativity. It's believed that the smoke absorbs all kinds of negative emotions, be it anxiety or sadness, illness, anger. Every negative emotion that you can think of, sage is known to absorb. And then as it dissipates, it's thought that the negative emotions... I'm so glad you do it too, Brandy. The negative emotions dissipate with the smoke. So one way or another, whether you believe in that principle or you don't, there is an energy that fills your home, right? Like you know how it feels when you've had a fight with your husband, or you're having just a really, really tough day with your kids, and like the heaviness that your house just vibrates with. And that is that energy. So this is how I tend to get rid of it. And to be 100% honest, I feel like I don't do it as much as I probably should. I generally get to a point where I feel crappy, and then I'm like, oh crap, I haven't smudged in a while. I probably should do that. And then I do it, and everything feels right again. It really helps me get back to my center. So you'd think that I would learn my lesson and like set a schedule and start doing it on a schedule. I think that technically, like the new seasons, or when you're about to have guests, or especially when guests leave your home, if you're having like a social gathering before and after, would be a great time to do it. Those are just some things not based on how you feel, but based on, what's going on in your home. Also, when you have a new house or a new space, like if you, this isn't always available for everyone, but if you get a new office and you're able to do something like this is a great way to just clear that energy from anything that was there before you and just claim that space for yourself. So those are a couple of the ways that I use it to help myself. Another option is after you smudge or burn your sage, you can burn sweetgrass, which looks a little bit different. I have not been able to find my sweetgrass since we moved, but it's thick, and usually it's braided, and that's thought to bring in the positive energy and to call in like the prosperity and the peace and all of those positive things. So the smudge takes all the negative away, or the sage takes all the negative away, and then the sweetgrass brings the positive in. So it's like a marrying of herbs, I guess, if you will. So I'm just going to show you kind of what I do. For a long time, all I had was sage, and this is what a smudge stick looks like. This one actually is still burning a little bit. It's not quite done, but it's really just dried leaves all bundled together with this little rope. And you can undo the rope as as you burn it. This was probably about this big when I got it, and it's lasted me, I don't know, maybe, honestly, it's probably lasted me a year because, you know, I left my home in May, and I really haven't used it. I've used it twice since May because I used it when we first moved in. So it lasts a while depending on how much you use it. But you light it with a lighter. You can light it with a candle. You can light it with something. If you have something that means something to you, this is all about what feels right for you. So you light it with a lighter. My fan is going in my office, so it's going to look a little crazy. But it takes a little while for it to light. So you should be able, hopefully you can see the smoke starting to come from that. And you can see that it has like some red where it's just kind of like burning, right? And then the second part, and like I said, for a long time, I did not have this. This is an abalone shell. It's gorgeous on the inside. This is thought to represent the water element. So this is kind of the fire and the water. Everything's very symbolic, I guess. But this is really just a place for your ashes to fall so that you're being safe in your home because it's fire and you can set your house on fire, right? So the easiest way for me is I hold it like this. I hold the shell like this, and then I hold the sage in this hand so that it's kind of like a cup. And as the sage burns, the ashes fall in. And then the third part is to use a feather. You don't have to have a feather. You can use your hand to waft if you'd like. But the feather, I don't know, it just feels right, and it makes the smoke go further. I have not always had these things. You know, it used to be me just walking around with like little pieces of dried sage that I had literally grown myself and like put in a book to press and dry and like wafting it all over my house. So my ritual, how I do this, is I light the sage, I set it in my abalone shell, and I just waft it over myself to clean my own energy. And then I take it to my front door. I turn on every single light in my house. It sounds ridiculous, but it's what I do. I turn on every single light in my house, and I open every single door and window that there is, every single one. And here in Florida, it's kind of weird because it makes my house a little hot. It's humid, it's hot, but it makes me feel like everything is being pushed out. So that's how I start. I take it to my front door, and I work clockwise around my house. Every single room, this is really going in my eyes right now. Every single room, I work from the door clockwise around the room, and then I go to the next room and work clockwise around the room. And I do that over my entire house, the entire thing, like including the garage, including the bonus room, including closets, the bathrooms, every single room. So if you've never smelled sage before, it has a very distinct smell. It almost kind of smells like pot. If you've ever had a chance to smell pot, whenever my husband comes home, he can always tell when I've smudged because it's a very distinct smell. So if you are going to do it before you have company over, you might want to give yourself a little bit of a waiting period because they'll be like, what is that weird smell in your house? And that's pretty much it, guys. It's just a ritual that really helps me. When I'm done, I always end here in my office. This is the room that I spend the most time in. So this is where I always end, and then I just lay it in my shell like this, and I let it smolder itself out. So as long as it needs to burn for it to go out, that's what I let it do. And then when it's done, I take the ashes that fell, and I clean the tip of it a little bit, so whatever like on the end goes out, and then I take them outside. You want to make sure that you take the ashes. It's kind of like that's the negativity that you have absorbed from your home, and you're taking that outside of your home. So I know this is a little more woo-woo than I usually get on my page. I am woo-woo to my core, guys. This is a little uncomfortable for me to share if I'm being really, really honest. This is a huge part of me, but it's not something that is always accepted in the mainstream. And I really have struggled my entire life sharing this portion and having the balance between respecting what is right for me and respecting how it makes other people feel, because a lot of times this stuff doesn't resonate with other people, and that's okay. But this is something that has helped me tremendously. I feel amazing right now. My house feels completely different than it did this morning, and I am ready to kick today's ass now. Like, I'm ready to sit down here in my office and get to work. I've got a whole inbox full of messages to return, and I'm ready. And I don't like to do that in a negative mind space. So I hope that this helped you today. If it did, could you share this, like, comment, all of those good things, so that some other people can see it too. One thing I wanted to say is I get my sage, generally you can get it from, like, if you have a Whole Foods or any kind of farmer's market, usually will have a sage stick or a smudge stick. I don't really recommend getting it from Amazon. I get pretty much my entire life from Amazon, but stuff like this I don't get because I don't know where it came from, and I don't know the energy that it came from, so I don't usually get it from there. I do have a couple shops on Etsy that I use, so if you have some questions, feel free to message me. I'd be happy to talk with you about this, and I'm ready to kick today's ass. I hope you guys have a fabulous Thursday. Thank you for joining me and for loving me and supporting me, and I'll talk to you soon. Mwah.